I think that the deal is that all those that hate God love death. You see, that's something that listen, Jesus said he has come that we might have life and have it more abundantly, okay? God is life. God, listen, I look at the sky when it's not chemtrailed. I look at the mountains, the sea, everything that's beautiful, everything that was wonderful, and these absolutely maggots from the cauldron of hell want to destroy all that because they hate the very image of God. And I got to tell you something, Alex, again, unless a person understands spiritual warfare, you see, these people believe that in committing, if you will, genocide, that they
get power. They get power.
Yes, they get power. But also, look, you know, if I told you that the world's leaders get together, even the guys you think are antagonists, and sacrifice small children to things that most people don't even believe that exist, people say, oh, man, that's just nutty stuff. But yet these people derive a thrill, if you will. It's almost like not only an intellectual cannibalism, but it's an emotional cannibalism, and it's a total contempt, first for God. Now, let's just say this. For even the atheists and agnostics, they can try and say, well, everything is chemically determined, and free will is just nothing but a response of different proteins to different forces. No. The bottom line is, why is there this overruling, overriding, clap at our own destruction? Look, isn't it amazing that...
Why are the globalists so obsessed with behavioral psychology and programming us and showing us acts of murder and violence? They admit to program us and acclimate us.
Right. They're desensitizing us to the great kill that's coming, okay? Listen, Alex, I have wept. My heart is broken for what's coming. If one person, two people, 2,000, 200,000, 2 million listen to you and they're not one of those... See, I told a guy once on the air that was giving me a hard time on another talk show. I said, look, at the difference between you and I, and this person was arguing it would be good for all these people to die. I said, yeah, that's in your world. In my world, life is precious. Life is wonderful.
Well, no, I mean, most Americans, even if they agree with us about the New World Order, they go, but we are overpopulated. I mean, even the head of the 700 Club said China needs to have abortion. It's of the Lord. We must do what the government says. I mean, that's how sick this perversion is, that it just pervades everything. Don't they understand that if one person's life has been devalued, everybody's is?
Absolutely. And see, I would want to take on that spokesman. You know, as a matter of fact, I debate him publicly. I know who said that. I would also tell you this, that the big...
Pat Robertson.
Yes, you and I were talking off the air. I think we were off the air, and talking about the big televangelists have already bought the lie, okay? They're willing to sacrifice the sheep because they get to keep the cash and goodies. You know, the point is that the cash and goodies, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like to basically be a pastor. Look, a pastor is supposed to be a shepherd, not a butcher, okay? But
yeah, I mean, how could you betray people? I mean, I couldn't sell out even if I wanted to. It's like who I am is fighting these people. It's in my very gut. I just go with what's right and standing up to evil. It's not even a conscious thing, Steve. But with them, they just love their little pimp outfits and their fancy suits, and they love lying and being wicked. It's so deceptive.
Oh, yeah, and the bottom line is, but I've got the answer to that. Jesus said the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not that money is evil, but all these televangelists have one thing in common, okay? And that's their pocketbook. It doesn't matter. You can name anybody of the top 10, and they're all up there in the 100 million plus bracket, okay?
But they go to Las Vegas and own racehorses for the Lord.
You got it, you know? And the point is...
See, for me, money is nothing but fuel. I need money so I can be strong to fight them if I need to defend myself and to pay my employees. But other than that, it is actually a hassle. Things are a hassle. They annoy me. Dealing with them annoys me. We're in trouble. We already knew this, but the San Francisco papers, several big papers last week admitted that it's right at 1 million. It's 996,000 plus. Police, their families, and government workers don't get tickets, don't get DWIs. Their plates literally they're ordered not to stop them, to leave them alone. So it's like diplomatic immunity. Government is making itself God.
Well, absolutely, and that's the case of Rome. You talked about Romans 13 off the air. What people don't understand is Romans 13 will be wrongly used to get Christians to betray Christians. Look, Jesus made it clear. Brother is going to rise against father, mother, sister, daughter. Every relationship, and he was talking to believers, is going to be tempted and tested. And the thing is that it's one thing to say, I'll never betray you. Peter said that. And boy, before the rooster crowed 3 times, it was a done deal. I would say this, by the grace of God and through through the intervention of the mercy and the active agency of God being God. That's how we're going to basically be able to deal with all this stuff. The same way God dealt with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire, Daniel in the lion's den, Joseph in prison, and every single man or woman of God in the Old or New Testament. It's not by might nor by power, but by His Spirit.
Well, I just hope police out there know that that regardless, they're going to have their pension funds taken, the whole economy gone, you're being poisoned just like us, whatever's coming. We're not kidding. The people running things love death, and they love the little black uniforms you wear, and they love making you servants of evil. And I just hope that you haven't completely lost your soul.
Because some of them have, to lose their soul, to willingly lose their soul. I mean, some of these people are going to go hang themselves like Judas, okay? But there comes a time in the book of Revelation where men will seek death and they won't be able to find it. I mean, they'll try and kill themselves, but they won't be able to do it. In other words, Alex, what we're trying to do is we're really pleading our case, and not only in the court of public opinion, but in the logic and the heart of hearts of the men and women and the young people that are listening to us, to say, look, understand, this isn't a dry run. We've seen this before in Nazi Germany. There was a reason we took all the German intelligence agents and the German scientists in Operation Paperclip to the United States when we had the OSS, the forerunner of the CIA. Isn't it strange that the country that supposedly esteemed human life at one point now takes it so willy-nilly at the other? I'm appalled. I'm against torture. You and I did a time together, an interview on torture. The bottom line is it's undefensible. And if a Christian is in favor of torture, I would say this: a guy needs to get on his face and repent. It's wrong.
Absolutely. Let's take some network calls. Tony in Arkansas, you're on the air with Steve Quayle. Thanks for holding.
It's wonderful to hear both of you together. It's kind of like having Superman and Batman against the New World Order. Gentlemen, you kind of almost stole my thunder a little bit earlier. I just wanted to highlight the earthquakes. Tuesday night, April 15th, just this one little sentence I'd like to read you from a news report. A number of people living in Indiana towns of Kokomo and Logansport reported seeing strange lights in the skies, hearing what sounded like a huge explosion, and seeing a giant fireball. Now, that was Tuesday night. It continued Wednesday and Thursday and led into the earthquake on Friday. That is a smoking gun.
Meanwhile, Dallas News is showing giant blimp-like UFOs, guaranteed government. They are just involved in all sorts of bizarreness right now.
Well, yeah, and as you both know, Nick Begich, and you guys have done things on HAARP. HAARP, when they heat that ionosphere, it produces a minor sort of, I want to say, northern light.
A lot of times it even ignites.
Yes, and there was the smell, they said, of ozone, and that is, to me, a smoking gun that they are introducing these earthquakes, and
absolutely,
it could be indeed, and you guys comment on it. My fear is that one of the executive orders Bush has handed down in the last 2 years was that in the event of natural disasters as well, massive enough,
that's PDD. That's PDD 51. That or any reason. I mean, how big a deal is that? Thank you, caller. How big a deal is that, Steve Quayle, that the government is saying in John Warner Defense Authorization Act that it's to suppress the American people, quote, against insurrection, and that the governors aren't even in place automatically, but now the entire Homeland Security Department for a year is not allowed to see any of the plan?
Well, absolutely, and I think the caller is very, very astute. I commend him. The bottom line is what he's talking about is some form of a plasma-based or plasma-initiated tectonic weapon. Some of those devices that people are seeing, UFOs or IFOs, I call them IFOs. I know what they are. As a matter of fact, there are guys that listen to you, Alex, and me that came out of that world of skunk works type aircraft. Well,
sure. I mean, they admitted that people saw the B-2 bomber and thought it for 20 years, thought it was a flying wedge Martian, and it's not. It's our aircraft.
Right, but see, the thing, and I want to really get this across, I don't think, and I want people to understand it's critical, real quick, there are factions in our military that are at war with each other. They are killing each other. When you hear of a training accident, or you hear of this or that, or, this group having accidents, those aren't accidents. Those are happening. There is a fight. There's the good guys, and there's the bad guys. The bad guys want the New World Order, and they are out-and-out Luciferians. When you talk about weapons that can generate an earthquake, you're talking about a form of energy that can interfere with what's called the electronic electron spin rate of matter itself. Okay, antimatter.
Well, they admit that the Earth actually accelerated its rotation last year.
Absolutely.
First time they'd recorded that, but it was almost a second, but close to a second. It was a particle. In the last couple decades, they've been putting out these powerful sonar systems to detect submarines, which every time they turn them on, and that's at a low level, just testing them, whales everywhere die and beach themselves, and they know it's doing it, and they just don't care.